Hey guys, it's me, Seren, back with another video. As you guys all know, the Mike Brown decision came in last night. It was a no indictment, as we all knew it would be. Nobody's really surprised. And I'm making this video, response video. I knew I'd make a video when this, decision came through. I'm very tired. I was up until like 2 o'clock in the morning, like watching streams and reading and, following what was going on. So no indictment. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm disappointed. I'm not surprised. But, I have a lot of conflicted, feelings about this decision and, basically, the government and the justice system is telling us that, Black lives do not matter. They don't matter. And that's hard, of course. That's a hard thing to come to terms with as a Black American, knowing that they don't give a fuck. Someone could kill me or kill my husband or kill my friend or, my future children and just get away with it and just, walk, no indictment. So I'm just going through a lot of emotions. And online, on the interwebs and here and there, I've been seeing a lot of different things flying around. It seems like I'm not counting the racists because, the racists that feel like justice was served or whatever, they're in their own, little world. There's no talking to them. I'm not trying to convince anybody that Mike Brown didn't deserve to die or anything like that. If that's how you feel, whatever, you're racist, there's just nothing I can do for you. But for the people that, wanted an indictment, I feel like they're kind of falling into two camps at the moment. And you have, your violent and your non-violent. So you have some people that are saying, because after the indictment ruling came, a portion of the protesters did turn violent. They lit a ton of stuff on fire. They lit a cop car on fire. They lit a bunch of businesses on fire. I believe they lit some government buildings on fire. There was some looting and, just some overall destruction of property. And typically you have your people that feel like, that's wrong and you shouldn't be doing that. And, peaceful protests, nonviolent protests. And then you have your other sect that feels like, well, we've been peaceful, long enough. Like, that's it. Like, we're angry now. We're angry now. We're going off. Like, that's it. And we don't care anymore. I happen to fall in the latter category. I don't really believe in non-violent protest. Maybe at one point in history it was effective, but the no indictment ruling basically told us that nonviolent protest is no longer effective as of 2014. We've been nonviolently protesting for 110 days. And I've been to Ferguson, as you guys know, I did a couple videos about it. And by and large, the vast majority of the protests have been nonviolent. Even last night, it was only a certain sect of protesters that even became violent, regardless of what you maybe saw on the news or read. There were still a lot of protesters that remained calm. I was watching streams. I had 3-4 streams open. I had my computer open, I had my iPad open, I had my phone open. And there were actually, streams where you could see tons of peaceful protesters. But of course, that's not what the media is going to report because that's not a good story. People lighting a cop car on fire. That's a great story. But by and large, the vast majority of the protests have been nonviolent. And I feel like nonviolent protest hasn't gotten us anywhere. Nonviolent protest sounds nice. It works in theory. But in terms of practicality, I feel like it's just not practical and nothing gets done. We can stand out there, every day for another 110 days. They told us yesterday what they think, and what they think is that Black and brown, Hispanic and Latino as well, Black and brown lives don't matter, period. You can stand out here in the rain. You can stand out here in the snow. You can lay down in the street. You can start petitions. At the end of the day, you know, the racism and the discrimination and, you know, the whole systems are corrupt. It's all systemic. And, you know, there's nothing that you can do. So I feel like, you know, whatever, go violent. Burn the whole country down, you know? They'll have to react. They'll have to react to that, you know? There were thousands of people out there in fucking Times Square last night. If they had lit any of those billion-dollar properties on fire, what would have happened? You know, would have been hell to pay. But that's just me. I know tons of people are going to feel differently, and I want to hear some people that can, you know, articulate why they're for nonviolent protest, you know, because I don't understand it. I don't understand it, you know. As I said, I have no issues with violent rebellion. You know, citizens are protesting an unjust government and a justice system that's designed, you know, to keep them in prison, you know, incarcerated, in jail, or dead, period, you know. And I feel like they can protest that however they see fit. I see these people with these respectability politics like, oh, well, now, you know, you're just proving to them that black people are animals and this and that. And it's like, well, clearly, you know, they think we're animals anyway, that they can just kill us, you know, shoot us like a dog in the street, leave our bodies in the street for 4.5 hours and nothing happens. Nothing you do or say is going to stop a racist white person that thinks you're an animal from thinking you're an animal. You can dress up in the nicest suit and tie. You can have the nicest job. You can have the best degree. Nothing is going to stop them from thinking you're an animal. You know, just like in my Bill Cosby video that I made yesterday, the Negro wake-up call. You know, your Negro wake-up call is going to come, you know. Excuse me. And nothing is going to save you. So it's just really, you know, disheartening and frustrating for me to hear these people saying, you know, like, well, stay peaceful and, you know, do this and do that and don't curse on the live streams and this and that. And it's like, none of that matters. None of that matters when people are getting gunned down. None of that matters when 12-year-old kids are getting gunned down in parks, you know. You know, I have a friend on Instagram, someone that I went to college with, so I know, you know, he's very smart, very intelligent, very educated. He's a teacher in New York City, and he put up a screen cap of a tweet that he tweeted right at 10 o'clock when Obama made his announcement, you know. It was something like, you know, when we start valuing and respecting ourselves and each other, others will value and respect us. And it got, like, you know, 50 likes and, like, all these comments of people, like, thumbs up and, like, right on. And I left a comment, I said, what does this mean? He's like, oh, what are you talking about? I'm like, what does this mean? Break it down to me. Literally, what does this mean? He goes, oh, Seren, it's, you know, it's right there in black and white. Like, you don't understand what it means? I'm like, no, I don't understand what it means. Because, you know, if I'm, you know, one flight down in a dark stairwell and there's a cop one flight above me, he opens the door, I open the door at the same time, he sees my black face, you know, he's a scared rookie cop, he shoots me in the chest. That had nothing to do with me being respectable. That had nothing to do with me respecting myself, respecting others, valuing myself, valuing others, because that cop didn't know me, you know. That cop didn't know me, didn't know my name, didn't know if I was a valued and respected member of the community, didn't know about my degrees, didn't know about my job, the way I dress, the way I talk, where I'm from, if I have kids. You know, they knew nothing about me, and they still could shoot me. And that has nothing to do with being respectable or values, you know. And when you ask people to explain it, they can't explain it. All they can do is throw out these, you know, these quotable quotes about value and respect and, you know, peace and don't fight hate with hate. And these are just, you know, little snippets and little sound bites that literally don't mean anything. They're just words strung together into phrases that people can, you know, post up on social media, but that don't mean anything. And when you literally ask people to explain, they look at you like, what do you mean you don't understand what I'm saying? Bitch, I don't understand what you're saying. What you're saying doesn't make sense. Period. A cop can shoot you and know nothing about you. How does respecting yourself or others stop a police officer from shooting you in cold blood and getting away with it? Explain it to me. Break it down to me. And any of you that believe in that, please break it down to me in the comment section, because I don't understand it. I can't understand it. Well, I'm not going to say can't, because if you can explain it to me, you know, maybe you can change my mind. But, you know, I don't understand it. You know, we live in this society where people are, you know, creating this, you know, this non-violent, you know, peace is the answer. You can't drive out hate with hate, sound bites, you know, this rhetoric this fantasy world where violence is not the answer and, you know, peace and love. And it's like, this is a fantasy. This is literally, you know, a fantasy. We live in America, okay? We live in the United States. And almost every major, you know, event in American history has been catalyzed by violence. You know, violence literally built this country, you know, starting with the, you know, the early settlers' genocide against the Native Americans. There would be no America without violence, you know. Moving on to the Revolutionary War, where they fought for freedom from the British. There would be no America without violence. Moving on to the Holocaust of slavery, which literally built this country and provided the backdrop for the economy that we have now to this day with cotton and, you know, the sugarcane trade. There would be no America. There would be no American economy without violence, okay? Moving on to the Civil War, which to this day is still the bloodiest, most deadly war in history that killed more people, more American citizens than any other war, but freed the slaves. There would be no modern, say it with me, there would be no modern day America without violence, okay? I can go on and on and on. The government utilizes violence to deal with issues. Drone wars, the war in Iraq, the war on drugs, the war on terror. They use violent terms to describe government actions. But now all of a sudden everyone in America is a fucking pacifist and doesn't believe that violence solves anything. Barack Obama went on TV last night and said violence is never the answer. Well, then somebody tell me, why do we have any type of armed forces? Why do we have a military? Why do we have a navy? Why do we have police officers that are allowed to carry guns and tasers? If violence is never the answer, then let's literally create a world where people are not able to enact and enable violent actions on each other. Let's start at the government level. Let's make it systematic. So let's remove guns from police. Let's remove tasers, let's remove batons. They can't have any type of violent weapon. They can't become violent with citizens. Citizens can't become violent with them. Let's dismantle all of our armed forces. You know, let's get rid of any type of military, any type of navy, armed forces, any type of military unit. You guys don't believe in violence? You're all pacifists? Well, let's put our money where our motherfucking mouths are and let's actually truly fight for systemic reform of violence in this country. Oh, wait, that's not what you guys are talking about, right? That's not what you guys are talking about when you say, you know, peace and pacifism, you know, and peace, you know, nonviolence. You guys are not talking about stripping government agencies of weapons and dismantling them, you know, tanks and fucking tear gas and rubber bullets and wooden bullets. That's not what you're talking about when you say, you know, violence is an issue. You're talking about the civilian population fighting back. They should never have to resort to violence, even when you're committing violent acts against them. I see now. I get it. I understand. You know, what is this magical fantasy world that you guys are living in where violence is never the answer? Where peace begets peace and hate begets hate and all this other bullshit you guys are talking about. Our whole, you know, society was built off of violence. Every major change that's happened in our society has revolved around violence, you know? And our American culture is mired in violence. I've never seen so many people in my life say that they're nonviolent. You know, peace begets peace and hate begets hate and you should never resort to violence. But the next day I see them fucking reblogging gifts for Avengers Age of Ultron. How are you violent but you love the Avengers? You love Batman. You love Spider-Man. You love the Hunger Games movies which just came out. You know, all these movies are about fictional characters that are fighting for justice through violence. Tony Stark literally built an iron suit weapon to destroy things and people in the name of violence. Batman whoops everybody's ass and like uses his gadgets to fuck people up. You know, it's violence, you know. We go see these movies where people literally use violence to fight for justice, okay? The Avengers did not stage a fucking sit-in against Loki. That didn't happen, okay? In Superman, they didn't have a peaceful protest, you know? In excuse me, in Batman, they didn't use non-violent resistance, okay? Our whole culture revolves around using violence to fight for justice, but then when we see this occurring in real life against real life injustices, now all of a sudden we're uncomfortable. Why? Why are we uncomfortable? Why are we not uncomfortable seeing, you know, white faces fight for justice on a screen, a movie screen, or a TV show, but we're not uncomfortable seeing that, but we're uncomfortable seeing black and brown bodies fighting for justice in real life. It's racism. It's an unconscious bias. It's subconscious levels of racism. It's not an accident that the majority of those movies are whitewashed and do not, you know, really have any significant black or brown leads, because seeing black and brown bodies committing violence against systems in power makes people uncomfortable. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that's systematic racism. That's an unconscious bias buried deep in your subconscious, you know, and especially if you're white, because recognizing that it's making you uncomfortable and why is admitting your culpability in the system, that there are injustices, that there is white privilege, that you do benefit from it, that we are living in a white supremacist society. It's easier to just, you know, throw out some little quotes about pacifism and peace and nonviolence. Meanwhile, your favorite book and movie is The Hunger Games. Meanwhile, you can't wait to see shit get wrecked and blown up, you know, in The Avengers. You know, it's insane. It's literally crazy. Like, it's beyond logic. Like, it's non-sensical. And I guarantee when you ask people to break it down, okay, well, explain it to me. You know, well, if you think that violent protests aren't the answer and violent rebellions aren't the answer, well, then what's your plan for nonviolent protests? You know, what would be your plan for, you know, what the protesters should do, you know, moving forward? And then it's like crickets. Like, again, they give you the face like, I don't know how to answer that question. I don't really, what are you actually asking me? You know, it's fucking disgusting. It's disgusting. Like, it's literally disgusting. And every single person that I see talking about violence only begets more violence and hate only begets more hate. Blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. Martin Luther King was non-violent, yes. And guess what happened? He came to a violent end. He got shot in the throat. Okay? Non-violence in his case begat violence. And it ended his life. Okay? He was nonviolent, and the government and the FBI sent letters to his house trying to get him to commit suicide. And this is true. This is not a conspiracy theory. Like, if you guys want links, I will include links for you. So miss me with the bullshit about nonviolence and you know, pacifism. You know, don't quote Gandhi at me. Gandhi was a racist that fucking abused his wives. And the only reason why nonviolent protests even worked in India was because the Indians outnumbered the British. Okay? So their nonviolent protest actually worked, you know, like in A Bug's Life when the ants realized they outnumber the crickets. Like, motherfucker, like, we don't even have to fight because there's so many of us, you know. It's not the same here. We can't even get black people and brown bodies to come together and admit that there's a problem because we're so busy blaming each other and, you know, tap dancing for these white people and these respectability politics, you know. Like, oh, we got to prove to white people that we're not animals and we not this and we not that. Like, fuck that. Like, you can't even get black people to come together and say that they're not going to buy anything on Black Friday because they, like, have to, like, spend money and, like, stunt for Instagram and, like, social media and this and that. So, of course, if you can't have a passive majority, which is what we're talking about when we're talking about nonviolence, if you can't have a passive majority that's willing to participate, I feel like you almost have to have a vocal minority. And that's how it always is. The vocal minority tearing shit apart is going to get shit done. Period. You know? And it's just, it's insane. I see people talking about, oh my God, they're burning down businesses and properties. So what? You guys care more about businesses and properties and materials and goods than you care about human lives, black lives. Like, in our capitalist society, property, fabric, you know, American flags, goods, merchandise literally mean more to you than black lives. You could care less that Mike Brown is dead and laid in the street for 4.5 hours, but you feel some type of way when you see that they, like, lit a beauty supply store on fire. It is, I literally feel like I'm in Bizarro world. I'm in the Twilight Zone, and nothing in life makes sense. You know, I was actually looking forward to seeing The Hunger Games, and now I don't even think I'm going to be able to stomach it. Like, I'm not going to be able to, like, even watch this, like, fake-ass rebellion when, you know, my people are living a real life Hunger Games on the street. You know, when white people love the Hunger Games, again, you know, they love Avengers, they love Batman, they love Superman, but they have no empathy or sympathy in their hearts for the plight of black and brown bodies in this country and what we're going through. It's fucking disgusting and it makes me fucking sick. Period. And if you're one of those people, then fuck you. I'm angry. I'm angry. This is it, I guess. You know, this video is kind of long, of course. Sorry. I just can't. I have nothing else. I have nothing else to give. You know, Thanksgiving is this week. Fuck that fuck ass holiday. I was gonna make a video about it, but you know what? Fuck that. That's probably gonna be my last video of the week. Thanksgiving is literally a holiday where we celebrate American violence, where we glorify American violence against the Native Americans, and we whitewash it into this fairy tale bedtime story about, you know, Native Americans sharing with us out of the goodness of their hearts when actually we fucking murdered them. So fuck that holiday. And just fuck this week. Fuck this year. Fuck this country. Fuck this society. Fuck everything. I hate everyone. And I'm gonna go and lie down. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, even if you didn't. These are just my thoughts on the whole thing. And, you know, hopefully I'll see you guys next week. We'll see how this Ferguson thing develops. You know, I might make another video next week, or I don't know, I might not. We'll see. I guess I should tell you to have a happy Thanksgiving, but I don't want to, and I also don't want you to buy anything on Black Friday. Please don't. Please don't. Please, I'm begging you, do not buy anything on Black Friday. We have to put our money where our mouths are on this one, especially if you're one of these pacifist motherfuckers. Here is a pacifist thing you can support. If you're an ally, a white ally, here is one pacifist thing you can do to support. Don't buy shit. And that's it, I guess. I'll talk to you guys next time. Food for thought as always. Please leave comments. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. See you guys next time. Peace.